Okay, welcome back to Amid Yami at Yoma Daf Lamed Vav Amid Aleph. We are going to begin with the Mishnah on Daf Lamed Hey Amid Beis. Here we go. Zog the Hilga Mishnah. So we gotta get into the zone here. Okay, it's Yom Kippur, Kohen Gadol. As we learn this Avodah, we are doing the Avodah. Zog the Hilga Mishnah. Bo loy itzel pare. So the Kohen Gadol comes next to his par. His par is standing between the ulam and the mizbeach. Ulam is a big building. Mizbeach hachitzon. Roishai ladarm. His head is facing south, which is like if you the direction of the ramp. That's south. Upanav l'mayrav, and the face of this par is facing the ulam, is facing west. The kohen mizrach, the kohen is standing in with his back to the east, facing upanav l'mayrav, and his face to the west. Alav, and he rests, or he supports his two hands on the head of the animal. That's called smicha. Umisvada, and he says vidoy v'kachaya oimer ana Hashem. Please Hashem. Avisi, I have sinned. Pashati, I have sinned rebelliously. Chatasi, I have sinned b'shoigeg. Lufanach, before you, and you basically I in my household. Oh no, Hashem, please Hashem. Kaperna, forgive. Na, can mean please or now. La'avaynu zol b'shamul chatoim. Shavisi v'shapashati shalchatzi lefanacha. Ani ubasi I in my household. Kakasu b'seres Moshe Abdach, like it says in the Torah of Moshe. Kiviyem azeh yichaper alechem. And when he would say Hashem's name, he would say the Shem HaMefayrash, and everyone would answer Baruch Shem Kved Machusoi La'ilam Va'ed. Tesis points out that Yerushalmi says, last Tesis on the page, Ana Hashem, Yerushalmi Yesh, the Berishayna Amar Ana Hashem, please Hashem, Ubeshain is Ana Bashem, with the Shem you should be Mechapros. Zaktel Gemara Tav of Lamar of Aleph. Man shamitli, the Amar ben ulam mizbeach tzafin. Now, when you bring kachi kachim and shchatin ba tzafin in the north of the mizbeach, so who says that if you are not in front of the mizbeach, but you're between the ulam and the mizbeach, that's called tzafin? Who holds that way? Man shamitli the Amar ben ulam mizbeach tzafin. So where it says Rabbi Elazar B'Shimon, he titania with the brayso. Eza hu tzafin. What is considered tzafin? Now, I want to tell you, it's not enough to be tzafin. You have to be al yerach hamizbeach tzafina. It's got to be considered yerach hamizbeach. So that's the machlekes here on this brayso. What's called the yerach? Close to, next to, the thigh, the mizbeach. So the first sheet is mikir shal mizbeach tzafini, from the northern wall of the mizbeach, bad kaisel ha'azara, until the kaisel of the azara, ukeneged kal mizbeach kulay. But opposite the mizbeach, that's 32 amas wide, all the way from the wall, the kir of the mizbeach, till the azara. If you're in that area, you're in tzafin. You could check kache. Kachim, that's called a yerach hamizbeach tzafina. That's his opinion. Shimon Moisif, he adds on av beina ulam ulam mizbeach. Even if you're between the ulam and the mizbeach, but you're on the northern part of the azara, so that is also called tzafan. Rabbi Moisef ab makam juices ragli kahanim. Even if you go the other way, away from the ulam towards the east, and you're in the place where the kahanim walk, va'af makam juices ragli Yisrael. Even in the Ezras Yisrael, all of that, if you're on the tzafan side, that is all called tzafan. Aval, even Rebbe agrees. Men hachalifais v'lifnim hakamaydim shepas. What's the chalifais? We haven't heard about that place yet. So if you can picture, I do have a picture in the back of the deer shoe. They bring a picture. But if you could picture in your mind for a moment the if you could picture um, the um, the ulam is shaped like a tefillin, right? They got like the tefillin box. So there was the part that would be like the bottom of the tefillin sticks out a bit from where the head goes. Okay, let me see if you can get a good picture. Oh, that's not bad. Okay, so you see it right where my finger is. That's called the Beis HaChalifos. That area there. So it was 15 amas wide by 10 amas deep. Okay, in that area, they were on both sides. They were cubbies, like chalenis. They were cubbies for the kayan, the kahan, to store their chalaf. Chalaf is Arabic for a knife. So that is where they would store their knife. That's called the Beis HaChalifos. So if you were opposite that, that already is not going to be okay. Oh, yeah, crisp, right? So in this area here, connected the Beis HaChalifos, that is not going to be okay to in this whole area, obviously. It's not, that's already camp, it's not going to be considered, yeah. Even Rebbe agrees. Okay, so you have the three sheets. First, Mount Amr, Dafka, this area. Rebbe Elazar Shimon adds this area, and then Rebbe adds this area. But he agrees that this area is no good. Thanks for graphics. Okay. Back to the Gemara. Okay, now what we're trying to prove from this brisa is that the Tana is Rebbe Elazar Shimon. So there's a Gemara Lema Rebbe Elazar Shimon. He lets it at the Tana of our Mishnah as Rebbe Elazar Shimon, the Loi Rebbe, and not Rebbe, because Rebbe Elazar Shimon says that Safan is even going to be by Ben Ulam is back. Says the Gemara, I feel take Rebbe. Why can't you say it's Rebbe? Rebbe Hashda the Rebbe Yosef Rebbe Yehuda Meisef. The Rebbe Elazar Shimon Loi Meisef. What? He's the only adding the bottom, meaning the part that's further away. He's saying is going to be okay, but the part that's closer is not going to be okay. It doesn't make sense. So Avada Rebbe Elazar Rebbe is agrees to Rebbe Elazar Shimon. So why can't he also be the Tan of our Mishnah? So Anan Hachi Kamin. This is what we were saying. If it's Rebbe, then L'chaira, you could shecht anywhere in the Azara. Elamai. So it must be that the time is Rebbe Elazar Rebbe Shimoni. So if that's the case, V'nakli ben Mizbeach L'kaisel. Why wouldn't you put it in the best place? I mean, everybody agrees that the best safan is opposite the Mizbeach, between the Mizbeach and, in the area opposite the area opposite, in the area in the tzafan opposite the mizbech is the best yarkasei tzafan. So, like according to Rabbi Shimon, you could put it in ulam mizbech, but why wouldn't you put it opposite the mizbech? Elamai. So why, even according to Rabbi Shimon, don't you do that? Mishum chol the kain gadol, because the kain gadol is going to have to carry all of the blood of this par. There's a lot of blood. So we'd prefer to limit the distance that he has to carry it. So we put him in the closest spot to the ulam. So Rabbi Mishum chol the kain gadol. So you would say the same thing. Even at the time of the Mishnah is Rebbe, he would also want you to be in the place closest to the ulam, and therefore the time of the Mishnah could be Rebbe as well. Shmak. Zog the Gemara weiter. Rosh Hashanah upon the Meir. Fragt the Gemara, what are we doing here? How is his head going in one direction and his body's in another direction? Amarav Boikim. That's Rashi. You're twisting the par's head. So his body is one way, and his head, you're twisting it, it's turning it towards the ulam. Well, why do you do that? Fragt the Gemara, just put him bein Mizrach L'Mayrav. Well, we're concerned that this animal may defecate, and that would be very bekavadik. That the way Rashi says it is that the pita bas or the beis harei is going to be opposite the mizbeach. Shema yerbetz galalim, a little more than halfway down on the very wide lines in Rashi. The gnai he laharis beis harei shaloi latzad mizbeach. That's a gnai. So therefore, put his zanav to the tzafan, his head to the darum, and turn his head. Okay. So Rabban, we learned in the Brayso, Ketzad Semech. General, when you did smicha on an animal, on kachim kachim. So what did you do exactly? So azavach I made betzafin. The animal would be standing in the tzafin, in the north. Upanav l'mayrav, his face would be facing mayrav. B'hasemech imed b'mizrach. The semech would be in the mizrach. Upanav l'mayrav, and he would be facing west. Now Rashi says, if you look at upanav l'mayrav, Rashi says v'achoyrav l'mizrach. Rashi says, since you're not opposite, again, according in our Mishnah, the animal was between the ulam and the mizbeach. So if he's going to be facing mizrach to mayrav, so then we're concerned that if he defecates, then he will be defecating right opposite the mizbeach. But a regular kachim could be not between the ulam and the mizbeach. So they're not, even if they were facing, even if they were in east to west. So they're not opposite the Mizbeach anymore. So technically, they could face, their whole body could be east to west. That's what Rashi says, that's how they were standing. The problem is, so then where is the Semech standing? Behind the animal? How is he going to bend over the animal to hit the head? According to Rashi, it's Shver L'cher. That's a Sfas Emes' Kasha on Rashi. And he brings the Rach, and it takes the Shonim say, no, the animal was the same way it was in our Mishnah. That's what the Mishnah says. Panav is L'mayrav, but the rest of the body was facing between Durham and Safan, and they faced the head toward the east, and then the person would stand right by his head and be Seimachan. Okay. The Seimech, the person Batalini, would put his hands between the horns of the animal. There should be nothing interceding between him and his carbon. And he says vidui al chatas avoin chatas. If it's a chatas that he's bringing, so he'll do vidui on the he'll say vidui on the actual on the whatever sin that he's bringing for al avoin chatas. Ba'al asham avoin asham. Ba'al oila. What if he's bringing a carbon oila? So now we're going to get into a discussion. What do you bring a carbon oila for? So Tanakama says, Avain leket, shicha, upeya, umaiserani. All those things you could bring if you didn't leave leket, or you took shicha or peya, or you don't leave peya, and you took it instead, or you didn't give maiserani. So you bring a carbon oila. Divir Rabbi Yabesi. Haglili, these are the words of Rabbi Haglili. Rabbi Akiva Omer, Ein oila ba ella. A carbon oila is only brought for an asay, ve'aleis asay shenitek la'asay. For a carbon, for a mitzvah asay that you didn't do, or for a lav, for a leis asay that can be fixed by an asay, where you're not getting malchus. So what's the machlekes here? So the Gemara is going to explain like this. I'm Rabbi Yoma, top of Lamed Vav base. Belav de nevela kamifli. They're arguing about the lav of nevela. What's unique about the lav of nevela? So take a look at the top Rashi. The siv asay acharov. After the lav of not eating nevela, it gives you mitzvah asay, and it says lagera shabesharecha titnana va'achela. Give it to a guy that's living amongst you. The ger that it's referring to is a ger toshav. Umiyu. Al karchach ein ze nitik la'aseh. Now this asay is it's not a nitik la'aseh, because the nesinas lageri efshel la'achar sha'avar al lois asay ashel achila, because the lavis don't eat it. So once you eat it, you can't give it to anybody anymore. Va'al karchach, I'll say the me'ikar mashma. This asay is something you're supposed to do before you're over the lav. You're supposed to give it to a guy and not eat it. Don't eat an avela, rather give it to a guy and don't eat it. So this is called a asay de meikar. The asay is not nitik the lav, but there is an asay there. So what's the machlekes? Rabbi Akiva savar. Now the same thing applies to these other the listings here, like a chichapeya, meiser ani. There is an asay of tazev where you're supposed to leave it. You're supposed to leave it for the ani and not take it, but you took it. So those are also asay de meikara. So Gemara says like this: Rabbi Akiva savar lav ma'alihu. The lav de nevela is a real lav. You get malchus on that lav, and therefore you don't bring an oila for it. You only bring an oila on a aver that there's no other punishment for. Rabbi Yisrael savar lav ma'alihu. This is a lav, but it's not a regular lav. See, the quintessential lav is the lav de chasima, of muzzling your animal, and the lav of chasima. You're not allowed to muzzle your animal while you are threshing with it, because you're supposed to let it eat. So that lav doesn't have an asay de meikara. So since it's not similar to the quintessential lav, so Rabbi Yisrael says you're not going to get malchus on it. And since you're not going to get malchus on it, therefore you could bring a carbon oila for it. Okay. Everybody agrees that the lav of nevela is a good lav. That everybody agrees. So what's the machlekes over here? They're arguing about the asay of tazev. Rabbi Akiva over tazev meikara mashma. Leave it, tazev. You should leave it. You should leave the fields valley. You should leave it at the peah. Tazev meikara mashma. Rabbi Yisrael over hashta mashma. Rabbi Yisrael holds that the lav the nevela. Rashi says avakav the korachase the basra meikara mashma. Hoil basra the lav ksiv ain't like it. So basically, he says, listen, since it's written, the assay by Nevela is written after it, and it's not limited a lav the chasima, so you're not going to get malchus for it. So the lav the chasima, uba a lav oila, but the lav of sheket. I'm sorry, I was reading the wrong Rashi. Basically, it's over the hashta mashma, a couple lines down. Acha the assay of tazev is acha shalakat va'ovar. Aloisa say. Nitku ve'akasav la'aseh v'tzivu la'oz ve'shamlo ani v'lager. V'ikach in like in the love. Tazev is saying even after you gathered it, tazev you should leave it. Rabbi Akiva holds no meikara koydem lakita kayaseh. V'laki Allah lav nitik la'aseh. He holds it's not nitik la'aseh. Ve'ein oila ba'olav. So we have a machlekes here. Abaye holds that everybody agrees when it comes to it's possible. He holds that even Rabbi Yisrael Galili agrees that the lav of nevela is a real lav, and you'll get malchus on it. But by Leket Shechem Peya, he holds that is a lav and nitik la'aseh, because the tazev is not meikara. Originally, you should leave it and don't take it. That's what Rabbi Akiva says, and therefore you got malchus if you take it. Rabbi Yisrael holds no. The Taiva is saying even if you take it, you should leave it. Don't eat it and just leave it there. So therefore, it's a lav and nitik. You don't get malchus, and therefore you could bring an oila for it. Okay.